Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a story that was buried for over 170 years. It's a pretty chilling mystery from the heart of pre-Civil War Alabama. We're talking about impossible murders, a silent giant of a man, and a truth so terrifying that an entire state conspired to literally erase it from history.
Our whole story really starts with just one single number, 9. So what's so scary about the number 9? Well, between 1847 and 1851, it was the number that struck absolute fear into the hearts of the wealthiest slaveholders in central Alabama. 9 of the most powerful plantation owners in the entire region, all dead.
But here's the detail that really had everyone losing their minds. Their bedroom doors, they were locked from the inside. The key was still in the lock. There were absolutely no signs of a break-in, no signs of a struggle, just a dead man inside a perfectly sealed room.
So officially, the local papers are calling it a plague of nighttime apoplexy. Basically a series of sudden, tragic seizures. Right. But behind closed doors, the planters knew better. They knew this wasn't some illness. Someone was coming for them, one by one, and they had no idea how to stop it. And each death was just brutal and weirdly similar. Every single victim had a crushed windpipe, the kind of catastrophic injury that takes immense, almost unbelievable force. And at every scene, the killer left a bizarre symbolic calling card, a severed tongue, a mouth stuffed full of raw cotton, or even cotton bowls just arranged neatly on the pillow. So investigators are looking at these incredibly powerful men, and they're struggling to find any link between them. But when they dug deep into the plantation ledgers, in the cold, hard accounting of human property, they found it. One common thread that connected every single one of them. Every single victim had, just a few weeks before his death, bought an unusually tall, silent field hand, and his name, in the records, was listed simply as Jacob. Now this guy, Big Jacob, was something else. Look at these details. He was a giant of a man, an absolute physical specimen who could outwork any 3 guys in the fields. And his silence, the fact that he was mute, was actually seen as a good thing, a sign of submission. But here's the part no one had bothered to connect. In the last 18 months, he'd been sold 9 times, and 8 of his previous owners had also died mysteriously. But Jacob's power wasn't just physical. There's the story of an overseer named Peak who made the mistake of striking him, just once. Jacob simply stopped what he was doing, turned and looked at him, and that single, silent look was so terrifying that, as the story goes, it made his bowels turn to water. The overseer, as you can imagine, never touched him again. So as the hunt for Jacob ramps up, investigators start to uncover a motive. And this is where it gets really interesting. This wasn't some random killing spree. Oh no, this was a calculated, decades-long plan for revenge. And it was all rooted in a crime that happened 40 years earlier. The big break came from an elderly woman named Bethany. She remembered something from 40 years back. A brutal overseer named Samuel Colton was suspected of killing Jacob's mother. Well, just days later, Colton himself was found dead, with a crushed throat. The main suspect? A 10-year-old Jacob, who was immediately sold and shipped away. Now, fast forward all these years, and who is Jacob targeting? Every single one of them was a former business partner of that same overseer. Okay, so now they have the who, and they have the why. It was vengeance. But the how? How in the world is any man, no matter how strong, getting into a securely locked room? It just seemed supernatural, impossible. Until, believe it or not, a 7-year-old boy saw something that explained the whole thing. Get ready for this, because it is wild. He wasn't breaking in at all. Using his incredible strength, Jacob would literally climb up to the high ceilings of these narrow plantation hallways. He would brace himself between the walls with his hands and feet and move like a spider, suspended high above the floor, and just wait, silently, right over his victim's door for hours if he had to. So the hunt finally comes to an end. Jacob is cornered at the plantation of his next target, a man named Preston Deshane. He's captured. It seems like the terror is finally over. But this is where the story takes its most shocking and absolutely consequential turn. So they've got him, and they are not taking any chances. Jacob is chained to a post right in the middle of a stable yard. He's under constant surveillance, with 8 armed guards watching his every move, 24 hours a day. He is completely, totally neutralized. But the terror wasn't over. Not even close. Because the next morning, Preston Dane is found dead in his locked bedroom, killed in the exact same way. Jacob was chained up, he was watched all night long, so how could this possibly have happened? Under intense questioning, Jacob, being mute, doesn't say a single word. But when his captor finally asks him, "How many others are working with you?" Jacob slowly raises his chained hands and holds up 9 fingers. And right then, the terrifying truth just clicks into place. Big Jacob wasn't the killer. He was the distraction. He was the big, scary, silent giant designed to draw all the attention and all the fear. The real killers were an organized network of invisible assassins, other enslaved people all connected to that same overseer, Samuel Colton, who could move freely as personal servants while everyone was looking for the giant. Now you have to understand, this revelation, this idea that enslaved people could organize, coordinate, and pull off a successful campaign of targeted killings was the slave-holding class's absolute worst nightmare. And they decided right then and there that this entire story had to be systematically erased. So, a massive cover-up began. What was in reality an organized rebellion was twisted into the story of a lone fugitive. Coordinated, targeted killings? Nope, just natural causes. That sophisticated network of assassins was explained away as a simple cholera outbreak. And Jacob, the decoy, became Jacob the lone killer in the official, completely falsified record. And they were thorough. Jacob and 7 captured members of his network were executed in total secret, with their official cause of death listed as disease. The victims' death certificates were altered. People went into newspaper archives and physically cut out and reprinted pages to remove the incriminating details. The very name Jacob was scrubbed from plantation records to make sure their incredible campaign of vengeance would be completely forgotten. The only reason we know this story today is because it survived through oral tradition, passed down in secret from person to person. And why this matters is that it just completely challenges the official narrative of slavery. It proves that resistance was often way more organized, far more strategic, and frankly, more successful than the history books want us to believe. And it leaves us with this really haunting question. How many other stories, just like the rebellion of Big Jacob, have been deliberately wiped from our history?